Hi guys, Tom Morrison here, and do you have a specific tightness or niggle just above your butt and it's just really annoying and it won't go away and it just feels like you need to stretch it all of the time? Well, before you start going down the route of blaming one specific muscle, it could actually be down to things that you're not doing regularly. To fix an ongoing problem like that, you need to make sure that you're adding stretching and strengthening exercises. If you always fall into the habit of stretching all of the time, you can actually start to get addicted to stretching and you'll just crave it more and more and more and more, and you'll never actually get to any long-term relief from it. So you need to make sure that you're adding these exercises that we're going to give you together. First of all, we are going to open up the area, which is where most people go right, but we're going to show you how to make those things a little bit better as well before we get into the activation stuff. So what Jenny's going to do is set up in the pigeon position, a very, very common pose that people know. So she is having her hip here at a full right angle. For a lot of people that aren't very flexible, you may find this too intense or you might find that it hurts your knee. So just set up and have your shin at a diagonal angle. The main thing is, do you feel a stretch in your glute? And if you do, if you feel like your glute's being stretched nicely, that's absolutely fine. So whatever way you can get the leg comfortable that you feel a stretch in the glute is great. From there, what Jenny's going to do is just flop herself down, and then she's going to try and get this shoulder as far away from this hip as she can. So she's lengthening out everything down this side, and the more she elevates this shoulder blade, the more she's going to feel a stretch down in and around the QL area, and it's going to make that glute stretch a lot better as well. So you're almost trying to push into the hip while reaching the arm away at the same time and just trying to break yourself in half almost. She then takes a deep breath in to her ribtorals, and then she takes a deep breath out and this really tries to sink in and stretch into that even further. So then from there you can start to rock the hips from side to side a little bit and just really play around and mess with this. Remember, muscles don't just stretch one way, things are able to move in all different ways. So the more you sort of rock around and stretch nice and slowly and keep your breathing nice and relaxed, you'll chill things out way more than just trying to sit in this stretch and go for 10 minutes. It's not going to work the same way. So this is a great way to start to open things up in that area, and make sure you do both sides anyway. If your issue is only on the one side, you may find as you're doing this, one side feels way tighter than the other. So just spend a bit more time on that side. Give yourself a few more breaths on that side as well. And like I said, you're just really trying to get that shoulder as far away from that side hip as you can. So deep breaths out and just chill out there, okay? So do, I would say, at least 3 swaps per side. So do each leg 3 times and spend up to 30 seconds, up to a minute if you fancy. It's up to yourself for how long you have, just till you feel like you've actually made a difference. And then we want to go on to activation exercises. Now that we've opened up the area, we want to use the muscles through that range of motion. So what Jenny's going to do is grab a very, very light dumbbell, lighter than you think you need, and she is then, because she has her dumbbell in the left hand, this is very confusing, she has crossed her right leg behind her, okay? So from there, she keeps the right leg nice and straight. Now, if you need to have something to hold on to for balance the first time you try this, maybe a good idea to have a chair or something beside you, but Jenny's not too bad with that. So what we're gonna do is lean away from that hip, and she's looking to stretch out that whole area there, and then bring herself up nice and slowly. Again, keep your breathing relaxed as you do that, and just bend down nice and slowly, and then just really feel everything bringing that back up again nice and slowly. And you're going to do that 5 times. So this is a nice movement that you'll probably have not done before, and it's a really good thing to make your muscles go through these ranges and to help to strengthen them and also make them think as well. So 5 times, and you're going to do that each side. And again, I always get confused with which leg has to go behind, so you might need to change your legs if it feels too weird for you. And then I think that's 5 now. So Jenny's just going to change legs. So now it's in the right hand. So she's crossed the left leg behind her and she's leaning away from her left hip. So she's again trying to get that shoulder away from the hips. And again, nice and slowly. Deep, deep, deep breaths as you do this. And you're going to do that 5 times. And again, you can actually progressively load this over time if you are relatively strong and lift weights, then you'll probably find that, say Jenny's got 5 kilos there, but you can start to build that up over time, so you can even do it 10 kilos as well. It's quite a nice one, especially if you're finding you're getting really, really good instant relief from it. Add it into your training just as like a cool down exercise, okay? Next, we're going to do an exercise called hip hikes. Everybody gets really obsessed with, I need to strengthen my glutes, and everybody just thinks about going forwards and backwards like this all the time, and nobody moves their hips like hips are supposed to move. Hips are supposed to go up, like this, up and down, sideways, woo, like that. So very important movement, and that's what we're going to work on. So what we've got is a bumper plate, and you can use a step, your fireplace, the bottom stair in your house. Make sure you don't use the top stair. And from there, Jenny has her left foot on the plate, and then she has her right foot down. So she's relaxed into her hips like this. Make sure you do not bend the knee, okay? So you're not just bending the knee and letting the hips drop down. The standing leg stays completely straight the whole time. And then from there, what she's going to do is her foot is below 1 foot, and then she brings it up so that it's level, and then she brings it up again so that it is above the foot. So that'll be 1 rep, and then going back down, that'll be 2 reps. Go nice and slow, and there's 2 different ways you can think about doing this. You can either think that you are pushing through the standing leg more, and that's what's going to lift things up, or you can think that you're lifting up with the actual oblique itself as well, and you're hiking the hip up that way. Neither is right or wrong. Your body just needs to know how to do this stuff so that if you're out for running, for example, you absorb impact really well rather than just flopping your spine into the ground as you run. So make sure you do both sides. And what I've found over the years is that a lot of people that have that issue is they do it on one side and it feels okay, and they try the other side and it feels really icky and weird to them. So make sure if you feel like that you spend more time on that side, and also make sure that your feet stay in line as well, okay? So if you need to hold on to something, totally fine. You can also do it without holding on as well. Works on your balance a little bit too. It's a nice way to sort of progress the movement. So these are called hip hikes. Make sure you do them regularly, and as you do them, make sure your pelvis is staying in a nice level position and you're not doing all kinds of weird things to try and get the leg to move. Everything should stay nice and straight, and it should be just that hike of the hip that works. Lastly, we want to make sure that we are firing everything together so that it starts to stay in place, and again, you don't get caught in that trap of having to stretch all the time. So what we're going to use is the side plank, but we're actually going to do it properly, because a lot of people don't do side planks with proper tension, and you make me cry, okay? So what we want to do is make sure that we're actually getting good tension into the position. So we're actually just going to go from the knees, okay? So it doesn't matter if you can hold side planks all day long. What Jenny's done here, she's got her body nice and long, nice and straight, and she's just bent the feet around so that the contact point is going to be from the knees. Now, instead of just lifting her hips up here or just leaning into her shoulder here, what we're going to do is create tension first through the middle. So Jenny's trying to do this right now, but her arm's not moving because it's on the ground, and she starts to feel her obliques, and she uses that to actually lift up the hips, okay? So this is much more challenging to hold. Make sure you're breathing, Jenny. And then from there, once she feels she's got good tension through the middle, she then lifts up the top leg just to a parallel position, okay? So if that's too much for you to have the leg completely straight, you can keep the knee bent, but this is the position I'm trying to hold. Try and hold this for around 20 seconds and do that for 3 rounds on each side. So you're really looking activation and tension here more than anything, rather than just chilling out in the position and just holding a plank for the sake of holding a plank. You're actively looking to switch things on, so it should feel challenging, okay? So play around with the position and make sure that you're actually getting the benefits from it, rather than just, like I said, doing planks for the sake of doing planks, because planks are boring. Nobody likes doing them. Let's be honest about that. If you do them properly, you don't have to do them as often, okay? So make sure you've got the tension into them. So do this whole circuit twice a day if you can, and do it every day for a few weeks until you notice that you're making a lasting difference to that pain coming back, and hopefully that will be you reset for a while, and then you can just have these movements in your cool downs or in your warm-ups regularly. You can split them up even, just as long as you're doing them often enough, the benefits will carry on to them. And the other thing to keep in mind as well is that it could be more that you have limitations in how your hips actually move, so your hip flexibility could be a problem. So if you find that you're someone that's really, really stiff, you struggle to squat, for example, then definitely head over to our website and check out the simplistic mobility method. Okay, guys?